Facilitating a learning experience for adults really revolves around andragogy. This is the 6 tenets of andragogy: need to know, foundation, self concept, readiness, orientation, motivation. They sync up real nicely with what IB calls the pedagogical elements, which I think is a misnomer in a sense that if you're talking about pedagogical stuff, that's a study of childlike learning or young adult learning. Um, that's different than adult learning. So really you have to look at what's going on. For instance, need to know is every time I do a workshop, and I've worked at 4 different universities, as well as being a 20-year high school teacher, uh, when people walk in the room, you can't basically have to tear up the syllabus. You have to tear up the curriculum or the plan that you had because the plan has to revolve around the individuals there. You have to go through these 6 components to be able to understand what's going on. Now, that's really nerve wracking for a practitioner because you can prepare materials, but you really need to know the material. You need to be the ninja of learning. You have to, as a proverb says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, imagine this: you parachute into the situation, and the need to know is essentially you can't know what you're going to need to know until you talk to the people sitting in the room at that very moment. Then the next step is to find out why they're there. What problems are they trying to solve? And once you make a list of that, then take a look at the content that you want to deliver and make decisions that are going to help them solve those problems. And that will satisfy the 6 tenets of andragogy, that process. Or, as IB talks about, the pedagogical IB components. So my need to know is everything. I need to know the material when we get there in the classroom or the training area. And the other responsibilities in there, from understanding the specifics of the roles, I can prepare that ahead of time by talking to practitioners who have done it before. And that's what I've done is I talk to people who've done it before, gather insight from them on how to best be prepared for the situation. Now, moving to the left here with worrying, um, I've been doing this for 20 years. I have taught 18,000 class periods at the high school. I've taught courses at universities for a number of years, and I feel very comfortable with technology. And essentially, what I've been teaching for this period of time is tech integration, how to use the various tools to achieve the goals that you're set out to work on. And I have the same process for each workshop. Show up with problems. We take a look at the latest tools out there that may address those problems. Once we see them, we rank them on ease of use and practical usability. Then we start training based on what we think would be the most relevant tools to solve our problem. And rinse and repeat. We just keep doing this process. So the worrying, I'm not really worried about much other than I'm always concerned about the need to know because when I show up, there's going to be uncomfortable situations in the sense that I don't know who's going to show up and what their needs are going to be. And so I try to over prepare to be ready for some of those things. And the first day in particular, or sending out a survey ahead of time, I will find out what their problems are, what questions they have, and then prepare materials based on those questions from the pre-survey. Moving over to the right here, I'm excited always about the learning moment, when the lightning strikes, when a person has a problem, a situation they're trying to resolve, and you start working with potential solutions, and when they start to see a connection on how that solution can work for their problem, boom, lightning strikes. That's the excitement. That's the meaning-making moment that happens in learning. I think a lot of us are drawn to this because of that. Now, moving southward here, the stance moving forward, what I do with any training model that I'm learning about is rubbing shoulders with people that are in this forum, that are in this kind of experience with IB or any other curricular area that it does some type of training, and asking questions, looking for clarification. Online situations like this, I don't like very much because I need to work with people. And online has its benefits in a sense that you have far-flung people around the world that can communicate on one level, but you can't do the interaction live in the moment, and that is very troubling for me. So I've guarded expectations of online content, and having used many online systems through the university level, it does not work well for certain types of meaning-making moments. You have to have face-to-face for those things. So I'm always a practitioner of the human being and technology working in its strengths. So overall, I'm going to jump right into my reflection on this whole process. my reflection on the process for what's happening with IB, the IBEN, and training for this is that I'm going to do what I've done in the past, which is be prepared to work with other people ahead of time to find out what's going on. I was drawn into this whole IB training process we're going through, not to be any of the things that are part of this training. I was asked to help rewrite curriculum for one of the programs, and so I'm jumping through these hoops because I guess I need to be a part of IBEN before I can move on to that next piece. So I'm going through this process and reflecting on where can I find meaning, because I hate wasting time and we're all super busy doing stuff. These types of activities I find troubling because they're not very meaningful for me. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk, but I'm trying to find meaning in these various activities for training that I'm not training for, if that makes sense. I don't want to be a trainer. Was recruited to redo curriculum. But if I have to jump through the hoops for the training expectations in this, then I will do that. But I'm trying to do it as efficiently as possible because, again, I think I've made my point. I'm not sure exactly why I'm doing this if I'm rewriting curriculum. Anyway, having said that, if somebody here listens to my reflection and has insight for me, awesome. That ends my presentation.